Let me begin with what I talked about in my introduction there, because a few days ago, maybe a week or two, you were appointed by Dr. Kizza Besigye as the vice president of the People's Government. What exactly is the People's Government?
Well, we have labored to explain this phenomenon, and it's very unfortunate some people have deliberately chosen to distort it. Some have misconstrued it, others are misrepresenting us. But we explained and we still maintain the People's Government is a platform that was established sometime back in 2016, shortly after the rigged general election of 2016. And it was necessitated by the fact that our victory, the victory of the people of Uganda, was robbed by the sitting regime. And we still maintain we have a de facto government and a government de jure, one which is legitimate and another one which is illegitimate. So, to distinguish these two, you have to appreciate the background to the general elections we had. That Ugandans took a decision massively to vote for Dr. Kizza Besigye. So the will of the people was vested in Dr. Kizza Besigye. That will was subverted, or the victory was subverted. And in the end, we had to establish what we call People's Government, which has got the will of the people, though it does not have the mandate, rather the instruments of power. So you have a government which has the instruments of power, which sits at Nakasero or Entebbe, and a government which has got no instruments of power.
Now, what's the relevance?
What is the relevance? It is obvious. One, the will of the people has to be asserted. It can't just go or be wished away. It can't just go in vain. Look here.
It's actually you who are wishing into being in government when you are not. Clearly you're not. You know, the election was 2016. There was some kind of a swearing in by Dr. Kizza Besigye on YouTube.
Yes.
It's 2019, that's when you're forming something called the People's Government.
No,
Do you really
that's not
believe
true. That's again another distortion. I don't know what actually Ugandans are up to right now. Not all of them, but our detractors, because they know for sure that it's not a new government that was established yesterday. No. This government has been in existence since 2016. In the aftermath of the rigged election, the government was established. Dr. Kizza Besigye was in jail. Actually, he did not participate in its formation initially. He was in jail in Ruzira. A team, the platform that campaigned for him, pieced up together, came up
Your
together.
Worship, what do you tell the people who say that what you are doing is on the borderline to comedy?
Well, that can always happen. People can always have their own perceptions. But the fact remains that the will of the people was vested in Dr. Kizza Besigye. And he had one or the other to form a platform that advances the cause so that we recover, we asserted the will of the people. So what if you call it a comedy? That's up to you. But it is not unique to Uganda. You are about to say what is happening in Venezuela, it's a comedy. But Maduro is facing it rough. The international community has recognized the people's president, yes, much as he has not
the
assumed.
The international community, for the case of Uganda, has recognized Yoweri Museveni as the elected president of Uganda. The regional leaders congratulate him, and the status quo is like President Museveni, in fact, he's almost through with this term of election. He's going to come 2021 and maybe offer himself again to be elected. That is what the international community knows. It's very different from the Maduro Venezuela case.
You see, you can draw the distinction. you can draw the difference. You can come up with the differences. But the fact remains, in Venezuela, there is a people's president who has been recognized by the international community. In Uganda here, it may be a different case, as you are saying, that probably our government has not been recognized by the international community. But it does exist, and the Ugandans know that they voted Dr. Kizza Besigye. And Ugandans know that our victory was robbed. And Ugandans know that Mr. Museveni is illegitimately in power. So in such a situation, what do you do? I would ask you, if you were the one who had assumed, who had gotten the will of the people, the mandate of the people, what would you do?
Your worship,
you want us to go to the bush?
Your worship, it is not.
You want us to go to the bush?
It is not in order for me to call you here.
But what you are calling a comedy, it has happened even to other no, let me explain this.
These are actually not my words. I hear it. They say, what is this? This looks comical. I don't. If you have not heard it,
it is not unprecedented. Icons of civil liberties have suffered the same ridicule you are talking about right now. You don't know how people like...
So when you talk about the...
Can I complete this?
Yes.
You don't know the kind of humiliation, ridicule, denigration, the likes of Mandela, the likes of Martin Luther King Jr. were subjected to. Even the prophets you worship right now, they were humiliated, they were insulted, they were abused, they were ridiculed. So it doesn't surprise us. It doesn't.
You cannot put yourselves like in the feet of the African icon Nelson Mandela, or even go beyond that to talk about the prophets. It is totally different, because it is totally different.
You see,
you cannot equate yourselves.
But this is not what I'm saying, and I don't want you to put words into my mouth.
It does not compare.
No, I'm drawing parallels. I'm citing precedents. I'm not telling you that actually I'm in the same league with the prophets. That would be blasphemy. I can't say that. For heaven's sake, I cannot say that.
So now, what does the people's government do for the people?
What it does for the people, that's a good question. One is to champion the cause for liberation of this country. We have explained this, that the people's government is a war cabinet, is a war government. A war government that is representing the oppressed. It's a government for the oppressed. One, to free ourselves as Ugandans from the shackles of this regime. If you don't understand that we are in that kind of situation, then you're on a different planet. If you do not appreciate that Ugandans are captives, that if you look at what is happening right now, in all spheres of life, look at what is going on in the parliament, the institutional breakdown, the crisis there is in the country, the scandals we are witnessing right now, the corruption which is seen by everyone, the breakdown of the moral fiber, which goes actually to the soul of the nation.
So what does the people's government do
exactly
for the people?
What does it do? We have said we shall not go to the bush. The point is to rally the masses to regain their power.
We have a military government. That your cabinet is a war cabinet.
Yes.
What does that mean? Are you at the war path with the NRM government?
Not a military war. But certainly we are not on good terms with the government.
War is war.
War is war.
And when you say your cabinet is a war cabinet,
it can take different forms and shape. There is a military engagement, a conventional war, there can be a guerrilla war, and there is a non-violent struggle. So ours is a non-violent struggle, the struggle of Ugandans to regain their power. If you looked at the foundations of our constitution, it's about the sovereignty of the people. But my brother, and the viewers out there, do you think that Ugandans have the destiny of this nation in their control? Do you believe that? So people's power, people's sovereign authority was hijacked by a team of people, a cabal of people. And it's the gun now controlling the country. It's the gun.
So if you talk about the cabal and the gun that is entrenched in controlling Uganda, and they are deeply entrenched in there, what does the people's government do to get them out?
There are a number of things which I've always explained. I may not have enough time. One, to reawaken Ugandans, to sensitize them, to empower them, to make them confident that actually they have the capacity, they have the power, the authority to take control of the destiny of this country. And to appreciate that actually we are in a dire situation, that the country is almost going down the drain. So pretty soon, if we don't intervene as Ugandans, if you don't marshal up our capacity, we may find ourselves on the precipice.
Your Worship, I've had that kind of argument for quite some time. The man you want to wrestle power from has been in, by 2021.
But I've just explained the one thing.
Is going to be in power for 35 years.
Because you wanted me to outline the agenda.
Yes, because you
the agenda of the people's government.
How do you raise the consciousness of the Ugandan people, the civic engagement, the vibrance of the citizenry, so that they can start viewing Uganda from the prism that you do?
Exactly.
Because President Museveni, whom you want to wrestle power from, has been in power for almost 35 years. He's going to ask for another mandate that's going to take him to the 40-year mark. And for 40 years, they have not been reawakened.
How long did apartheid control the people of South Africa? How long?
This is a century kind of mission. Even if it takes 100 years, this is what you want to do. So you want to leave this for your children and children's children to continue. You clearly know, not in your lifetime, that this can be achieved.
We are alive to the fact that unlike coups and conventional wars, a non-violent struggle takes a bit of time. You see, for you, you are used to coups and counter-coups, because since independence, we have not had orderly succession to power. But a people's struggle, a protracted struggle to regain people's sovereign authority takes time, requires patience, requires perseverance and consistency. So that's why for us, yes, we appreciate the urgency of having a change. But if you use violent means, it may take this country several steps backwards. That's the reason we are not marching for a violent struggle.
So are you saying that if you walked today in the far-flung places of Uganda, let's say Aduku in Apache, or Nagongera in Tororo, or maybe Kichwamba in Kabarole, people understand the people's government?
But who voted Dr. Kizza Besigye in power? Unless you are saying that actually we are deceiving ourselves, or we are deluding ourselves that we won the 2016 election. We have evidence that Dr. Kizza Besigye won. We are ready to present it in any forum available within the purview of the law. But we were curtailed. Dr. Kizza Besigye was first confined in his home, subsequently jailed in Luzira, and was never given any opportunity to present this evidence to any legal forum where it would be addressed.
I also know the other fact.
Secondly,
that in that election, you almost had about 6 NRM LOC5 chairpersons coming in unopposed. You have over 300 NRM legislators. You have so many NRM mayors in the different towns and municipalities. You have about 38 or 37 FDC and maybe 60 independents. Really, the facts on the ground tell a different story.
Was the polling on the same day? Let me tell you, even if it were on the same day, you are using a wrong parameter. In America right now, in the US, who has the majority in Congress? Is it the Republican? We have a presidential system. It's not a parliamentary system. And in a presidential system, you are elected on your own merit. Of course, you have an institutional backing, like Dr. Kizza Besigye had the FDC flag. But it doesn't necessarily mean that actually people were voting the party list right from the president up to LC1, up to the local council elections. No, it didn't work that way. So we got these results in our favor. This is what I'm telling you. We demanded for an audit. There was an invasion of our water center in Najanankwombi. I personally have explained it time and again here in this very show. On the polling day itself, we went with the diplomats and the media at the FXCR study center they had established in Nakuru, where they were falsifying the results which were being transmitted to the Badrich Gondo Commission at Nambole. And these were false results. So but we demanded that, look here, look, let's have an audit of the entire electoral process so that we establish this.
But really,
you see, to you, it may not make sense.
Your worship.
This may not make a sense. But do you have any other option of ushering in change other than asserting the will of the people? The other one is catastrophic.
So you have...
It is devastating.
You claim the will of the people, the mandate was given Dr. Kizza Besigye in February. And now that is when you should have tried to talk to the people, when it is still hot, when they have just cast their vote, when they know that what they did for them to make the change that you deserve, that you require. But not now.
But where have you been, Mr. Kamara? I thought you've been here. You've been monitoring events as they unfold. So you mean in 2016 when they robbed us, we just sat back? Did we go underground? Did we hide? I thought you saw what happened.
You've launched.
Yeah, I thought you saw. No, it's not about launching so many things. Because this people's government has been in existence since 2016. You get the point?
You know, you could be making a point, but you are making a point to yourselves, not to the rest of Ugandans.
I don't know where you gather that information that we're not speaking for Ugandans.
Clearly,
I don't understand this.
When you look at all the elective positions at the grassroots, even the recently concluded LC1 elections, you can see that massively, I don't know by what means they used, but massively, at the LC1, NRM, I don't even speak for it, but I saw that it appeared to have given you a bloody nose.
In the LC1 elections?
Yes.
What parameters are you using?
Because majority
Give me statistics here. Give me statistics.
So do you want to tell Ugandans that you came out?
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this.
The LC1, which is massive.
Let me tell you this. Simply because one tilts the electoral process in their favor, using unconventional and illegal methods, and they, one or the other, they maneuver and get leverage. It makes them right. Simply because they have subverted the will of the people. Because Mr. Museveni has entrenched the rigging machinery, which he uses, and actually most of these NRM people you see, who are held captive within the, hostage within the NRM party, and you're going to see them in their primaries. What they fight for is to get this rigging machinery to be used in their favor. Many of them, they are not there because of, out of their own volition. Their conscience is elsewhere. You speak to them in confidence, and they will tell you. I'm sure you have engagements and interactions with them. Yes, they will tell you. So if, because they have mastered the art of rigging, does it make them right? So somebody comes up and says, well, because we have done this, I've ever watched a match where a club was beaten 62 goals. I'm sorry.
Was that in Masaka?
Let me talk about the most recent one. I think there was a tournament where we had a skewed system, and I'm sorry, Express fans, you'll excuse me. Express needed 20-something goals to attain a certain position within the National League. They ended up scoring 22. I'm sorry. But do you know what they did to get 22 goals? You yourself, you may not even celebrate. So this is what happens with NRM. Basically, this is what happens. These fictitious numbers, these fictitious numbers.
As a lawyer, after the LC1 election that were massively won by the NRM, you would have taken them to court, or you no longer believe in the judiciary of Uganda?
We have explained this to you. And I've just said it a while ago. That even if we wanted to go to court, we were constrained, we were curtailed.
No, I'm talking about the recent one. Yeah.
Let me recount, David.
I
know 2016.
I know Dr. Besigye
Yes,
was incarcerated.
Was incarcerated. Yes.
I know about that.
Yes.
And the 10-day gap could not work for him because he could not take his petition. But how about these other elections that you claim have also been rigged, including the LOC one and all that? Why didn't you go to court and seek
Do you know
remedy?
what? I've just been to court this morning in the Court of Appeal, handling a petition which I filed in 2010. I challenged the presence of polling stations in Kampala Central within the military barracks, Summit View, State House, CMY, and others, where you have ghost voters. Ghost voters. They are within the precincts of the military barracks. So after pushing for an amendment in my capacity as Shadow Attorney General in 2010, the regime refused to comply. So I had to seek for compelling orders from court. We call them orders of mandamus, compelling them to comply with the dictates of the law. I won the case. They refused and insisted that they are appealing. So the Electoral Commission filed an appeal. Now they started procrastinating, dilly-dallying, dragging their feet until it came up for hearing today. Today before the Court of Appeal. They never showed up and it was dismissed. So you can imagine that kind of, delay in
yes,
delivery.
but you see,
and there are so many election petitions. You can see this folly with this system.
But at
the
least,
folly with
at
this
least
system.
you still believed that the order of mandamus, that's what you said, can still work if you continue going to court. The compelling order can still work. And after 10 years or so, somehow
let me tell you, that is one case. I had also another one where I am involved. You are aware of the botched impeachment process which was perpetrated by the same regime in 2014 against me. And I've always explained this, that actually that ghost has haunted me all through. If today you checked in the search engine here, you would see, you go there and put in, you go into Wikipedia, get the profile of Lukwago. They will say, Lord Mayor, he was impeached on account of abuse of office, incompetence, misconduct, misbehavior, and I've had trouble to explain in international conferences what it's all about. Said, oh, you were impeached for abuse of office. What did you do? They think I stole people's money. They think I misused my office.
They have damaged your reputation.
They have damaged my reputation. So I had to struggle all through. You can imagine, let me complete this story. To have, because they said they were appealing, and that matter still lingered on up to the present day. And the hearing in the Court of Appeal was again today. You can imagine since 2014, the term ended way back in 2016. I was re-elected. The matter is still pending before court. You can imagine that kind of situation we are dealing with. Point is, I'm not faulting the judges per se. They have done their best. But we have institutional breakdown. We have a total crisis in this country. You see what is happening in Parliament right now. That the Speaker is, the IGG is investigating Parliament. The Parliament is investigating the IGG. One is summoning the other. The issue is coming in. This. Total confusion. You even, Ugandans, when it comes now to the Kosase saga, the scandal, the crisis, Ugandans are at a loss right now. They don't know which direction. Whether to chase Mutebire, whether to chase IGG, whether to chase Katuntu, or whether to chase the Speaker, or to chase who. So you can see that puzzle, that kind of crisis. What explains that? Those are symptoms of a rotten system, which is systemic. So the country is not at peace with itself. It's a real crisis. Because there's something simmering. People, Uganda should appreciate this. And this is why I explained
simmering
to
what?
For a crisis. You don't know. You see, when you see things happening like this, You just wake up, for you in the media, you run a story that they have deported the manager of MTN, for example. He has been deported to Rwanda. Then the next day, another batch has also been deported. The other day, we saw a plane ferrying soldiers back to DRC and whatnot. What do you read from these signals, from all these events? You think that the country is stable? You think that Mr. Museveni is in control? Then he goes to Chobe with his team. Instead of deliberating on how they can have internal democracy, at least internal democracy within NRM, he wants an endorsement to continue as a solo candidate.
Okay, let me begin.
Yeah, I'm talking about all this.
You know, Honorable Elias Lukwago.
Yes.
When President Museveni goes to Chobe and his party agree, the Central Executive Committee, to endorse him and to run unopposed in 2021, what does the opposition do? You're fighting amongst yourselves, calling each other names? He's well ahead of you. Because if they have cohesion and they're strategizing for 2021 and they're putting just one candidate ahead of you to go unopposed, what are you doing in the opposition? You're fighting amongst yourselves. That is not like something that can make you win. Calling each other names.
Of course, accusations and counter-accusations are not good for us. And they don't add value to the struggle. I concede on that point. But you should read between the lines and appreciate the dynamics at play. What explains all that? Of course, I find people, at times, I fail to understand. You see somebody venting out anger against a fellow prisoner of conscience, a political prisoner. You find all of them in the social media elsewhere. Then you wonder what these people are up to. You get the point. So to that extent, I agree with you. But it's all because Mr. Museveni has mastered the art of divide and rule. When I mention this, you call it rhetoric. I know you're about to say, that is, we are used to that kind of rhetoric. But this is the game he indulges in, using our national resources. I'll go back to the Kosase saga, for example. He raided the central bank. He raided the central bank. In all these elections, there's been a raid on the central bank. They have created a crisis. They built up impunity. Because all those officers you see in the central bank, and they know what is happening, total mess. You can blame Bajenda, you can blame Mutebire, yes, they are wrong. But what breeds all that kind of fraud they are perpetrating? It's impunity. And who is responsible for that impunity? A person who writes a letter. For example, I don't know why this matter has not been investigated. Mr. Museveni writes and say, give such and such amount to Basajabalaba, give this, because his business is not doing good, blah, blah, blah. You know, running central bank as if it is his personal till. You get the point. So with that kind of situation, there is impunity all over. I don't want to go into the security systems.
Yeah, but
if so for you are saying, no, why I'm explaining this? Why I'm explaining this? It's the reason you have given, the argument you have advanced, that for him he went to Chobe, he's organizing, and for us we are fighting one another. Yeah. Look here, we are running against the state. For him, NRM, at the best, would say it's a party state. But the country at large is a one-party state. It's a police state.
How does that stop you to mobilize amongst yourselves, put a formidable candidate, speak with one voice, and take on the NRM juggernaut like you need to?
Okay, good. We come together to campaign against Mr. Museveni, or we come together to fight him. Those are two different things.
You need to do both.
Wonderful. How do you do that?
You tell us.
Exactly. Because if you are to fight, if you are to campaign against him, it presupposes that you are going into a free and fair electoral process. And by that extension, you are bringing in the contradictions that are associated with elections.
You are my mayor.
Yes.
You are my Lord Mayor, your worship. You went into the campaign against all odds. You beat them hands down with a bigger margin. The rigging machinery was here, the security was here, Mr. Museveni was in this town, but you beat them. Why can't you beat them again and again, even at a national level, at a presidential level?
Do you remember our campaign
And
platform?
you retained your position.
Do you remember our campaign platform? That we shall win by defiance. Does everyone in the struggle believe in defiance? Because if we adopted that, because we are talking about which strategy do you use, you say yes, we cannot boycott elections. But how do we make sure that Mr. Museveni does not have it his way, does not rig people's victory? That's what brings us together.
You are an example.
So for
you
us,
are an example that shows that even if President Museveni decides today for the mayor election, he will not get it. The people will choose the candidate they want, and they have done it by electing you again and again and again.
what do you mean again and again? It's as if I've stood for several times.
Well, at one time as a member of parliament, now as Lord Mayor. I'm talking about the different elections you
Let
have
me
offered
tell you
yourself.
this. And after winning in 2011, let's go systematically. After winning in 2011, what happened? He's on record saying, this man you voted here was oblivious of the fact that actually we had watered down, we had diluted that position of the Lord Mayor. We poured water into the system. You see him there with the padlocks, with chains. Then he does like this.
So you feel as somebody who is powerless?
I'll explain that. I'll explain that. Because you see, again, that has always been an unfortunate thing. Because people should understand that the power vested in the office of the Lord is not person to order. You get, it's not Lukwago. It's the people's power. So this is what I say. Now the mastermind, they come up with a plot to impeach Lukwago. I use the existing legal framework to challenge those obnoxious orders, those fraudulent processes. Still, they defy the court order. They lock the office of the Lord Mayor for 3 years. In Uganda, I don't know why people have mastered again this art. I don't know this kind of practice. So disheartening, where you turn against the victim. You get it?
Your worship.
Listen, yes. You were about also to accuse me that we have heard that story for a long time. But because I've asserted the will of the people to say, look here, the law is very clear.
We have actually given me that explanation after telling you that you're not a victim, you're actually the victor, because you have wrestled against a juggernaut in Kampala and you've beaten it more than twice. And you've been able to hold your victory.
But
even when they tried to fight you out of the office,
that does not take away the fact that
you still have a case over the monies they owe you in your salary, which is almost $500 million, and it will come because
that is beside the
believe
point.
In the judiciary.
That's beside the point. But the instruments of power, and when you mention that, somebody doesn't want to hear it. You get the point. When you're a victim, when you assert yourself, they say, we are tired of wars. You fail to understand what Ugandans want.
Your worship, we are going to take a break, and we will be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara. My guest tonight is the Lord Mayor of Kampala, His Worship Elias Lukwago. Are you still a member of the Democratic Party?
Are you still serving on NTV here?
Are you still a member of the Democratic Party?
I don't know if
you even do not know?
Why should I respond to a question you're about to ask me? Are you still a man? Because you see, it's a conviction. If I told you I subscribe to Democratic Party, it's what I believe in. I espouse the values, the aspirations, the ideals of Democratic Party. So I'm a self-avowed member. It has been on record. So if you don't want to take it on face value, then I have no...
So how do you reconcile the fact that you are a Democratic Party member, but you still move with Forum for Democratic Change? And when President General Norbert Mao talks about members of DP who seem to be like a watermelon or whatever it is he not, with all respect, talking about people like you?
Well, that's a very, very unfortunate statement coming from my brother, the Honorable Nobati Mawa. It's a very, very unfortunate one. But I'm used to his unguided missiles, if I may call it that. His salvos. I'm used to that. But they are very, very unfortunate.
So you, Honorable Elias Lukwago, are you pulling in the same direction, giving each other effort with the President General of the Democratic Party, Norbert Mao? Are you pushing in the same direction? You, who says you are a member of DP? The DP he heads?
You see, if you hosted him here, and if you listen to his statement of late, he's very clear. He said, all forces of change must come together. Actually, he's so passionate about this pet subject right now. For him, it's a pet subject. He talks of a special purpose vehicle. He's saying that all agents of change, of different political persuasions, should come together and form a special purpose vehicle. So are you suggesting that if you were to have that special purpose vehicle, members of FDC should not be on board? Members of People's Government should not be on board? Members of different platforms like People Power, JEMA, the Progressive UPC, Progressive NRM should not be on board? So that explains why I work with all the people who are seeking for change. Actually,
but your President General, Your Worship, spoke with a lot of clarity on the issue of people who seem to be on top DP, but in the inside they are not. So even though he's talking about a special purpose vehicle, this is not what he said in public. So to me, that was understood to mean he's not happy with people, forces of change or Democratic Party members who seem to be in different places.
No, I appreciate his problem, and it's affecting many of our colleagues, especially in DP. The phenomena of phobia. That's a problem.
Why?
You'll call him here to explain why he's suffering from phobia. And that does not portend good for us as combatants. Does not augur well with the spirit of coming together to dislodge this regime from power.
For those who are out,
would you allow me just one? Yes.
Are you with him because of Besige demand or the ideals he stands for?
You see, no, of course it is the ideals.
Yeah, but what's wrong with
the ideals of
FDC?
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing, because we share the same values, the same vision. And actually, for your information, FDC ideologically, FDC and DP are twins, ideologically speaking, because both parties, if I understand them very well, they subscribe to the center-right ideology. And that's why they are both members of Democratic Union of Africa, DUA, where recently, previously they elected Dr. Pokawanga Ssemwogerere as the president. Most recently, Dr. Besigye held the same portfolio. Now we have on the cabinet Ingrid Tunawe as vice president. So you can see they are drawing from the two parties. When they were in Ghana recently, Honorable Norbert Mao was walking arm in arm with the Honorable Ingrid. So I think it is self-defeating for you to go miles away from Uganda. You share the same table with your sister Ingrid. Then you come here and point a dagger against her. I think that would be self-delusion.
But Ingrid is
and dishonest on the part of
Honorable through and through. I think.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. That should tell you that they
that you are together.
That you are together. And for you, you can share the same platform with Ingrid And when I sit with Ingrid in the people's government, you say, oh, that one is a watermelon. When I sit with Dr. Besigye, you are choosing me of defecting from DP. But it is the same Honorable Nobati Mao, who in 2016 said, you know, for us we are supporting Go Forward. He supported Go Forward, which is a totally different formation. And I don't begrudge them. I don't fault them, because that was their choice. But we disagreed in principle, and I said, no, for me, if it is a struggle, I've always belonged here in the Defiance camp. And I still believe and trust in the war championed by Dr. Kizza Besigye. So I rallied behind Dr. Kizza Besigye. In 2001, when we were mobilized as youth, the then president, Dr. Pokaonga Semogerere, you'll talk to him. We had an assembly which Dr. Semogerere convened at Popopo, where we are rallied to support Dr. Kizza Besigye by Dr. Pokaonga Semogerere. In the aftermath of the 2001 elections, which were rigged, I was even put on the team, the legal team that handled Dr. Kizza Besigye's case, on account of my membership in the legal team of Democratic Party. I was assigned that duty. Since then, we worked with Dr. Kizza Besigye. He has never wavered on the struggle. He has never betrayed anyone. He has never recoiled from any situation. So give me one reason. If I'm still fighting Mr. Museveni, give me just one reason why I should distance myself from Dr. Kizza Besigye if I still mean that we should continue with the struggle. If others come together, like for example the DP bloc, we welcome them. We welcome everyone. We welcome all the pro-change forces, like people power headed by my brother Honorable Kyagulanyi and others, so that we forge a common front. Let me tell you this, and I want to explain to everyone. I've seen people saying, look, Lukwago, why have you betrayed us, the DPs? But I said, but this is where I have always belonged. Since the time I was rallied by Dr. Pokaonga Semogerere in 2001. I'll tell you for the record, in 2005 when Dr. Besigye returned from South Africa, I was jailed with him in the General Court Martial as I was representing him. And we were all supporting him. So in this struggle, he has been championing it. He has been leading us. So all we are saying, look, for you to have a common front, there must be entities. A common front is does not comprise of individuals. No. It comprises, let me complete this, so that you can have different formations, you can have several fronts, not fronts as such, you can have different political organizations or parties, you can have as many formations as you can think of, but ultimately, you sit on a round table, agree on a common front, like it happened in Moshi. Like it has happened elsewhere. Yeah, but people know you, your worship, that you have a home in DP and you are staying at the neighbors. They don't understand why. The vision, the idea, the agenda of DP right now is a common front. That's why Honorable Nobati Mao is so hyper about a special purpose vehicle. So I think we are working in the same direction. So now, a common front. I've had the proposition from the Democratic Party. So listen, that come 2021. Let me conclude this. No, before we go to 2021. Yes. You talk to Honorable Nobati Mao and members of the DP bloc. They will speak the same. They will tell you we want a common front. You will call Lukwago of People's Government or Dr. Kizza Besigye. It will be the same message, that we want a common front, we want to come together. You'll call Honorable Kyagulanyi here and everyone else who subscribes to whatever formations you may have, including General Mugisha Muntu of the new formation. They will all tell you, they will speak the same language, that we have to come together. So tell me, where have I gone wrong? So everyone is talking about coming together. But nobody is saying we should disband the different entities we have. because that can't be a front. You're not about to disband DP to cause a merger. That you are merging FDC, you are merging DP, you are merging People's Government, you are merging People Power, you are merging JEMA, and it's not going to happen.
You have seen Dr. Bwanika and the Honorable...
Is that a merger? Have they dissolved? Yes, has Honorable Bwanika dissolved the SDP? Has Bwanika dissolved or disbanded the People's... Actually, he's still the president of the People's Development Party. But they have created a front of sort. And we are saying, please, let us widen the frontiers by looking at a broader picture, a bigger picture, to say there is a People's Government, which is also an umbrella formation or platform, which has been in existence for some time. So now the missing link is how to bring together all these different platforms. And that's why for us, that's what now we are embarking on. We're not going to be derailed. We're not going to be distracted by people who are against us, by our enemies. We're not going to be distracted. So we shall continue forging that common front. I'm happy and I'm glad, I want to tell you here, we are having engagements with all the progressive forces who want change. So soon, I am quite optimistic and hopeful that we shall reach there.
Okay, the people of Uganda, you have gone to ask them for their mandate, and you claim they gave you that mandate through supporting Dr. Kizza Besigye 2016, but there seems to be a new kid on the block, the Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi of People Power, and he's taking the shine off you. Does that concern you?
Is it a fashion show? Huh? Is it a fashion show? The other day you saw these people with the big hips trying to showcase whatever they are endowed with. Are we about to do that? This is a battle, my friend.
Yeah, but the battle seems to be...
Listen, in the bush...
I'm against
during the Bush War...
The forces of change.
During the Bush War, you had the Kaira with his UFM. You had the Nkwangas with the FEDEM. You had the NRA. You had all these kind of formations. They failed to forge a common front. It's actually Yusuf Rule who managed to team up together with Museveni. But the rest failed to form a front. They continued with the struggle. What brought them together was a transitional government in which Kaira served. I'm not saying that would be the meeting point.
Unfortunately, they died immediately after.
Oh, sure. Of course, it was a marriage of convenience. But now the war issue right now, don't pit Dr. Besigye against Honorable Kyagulanyi. And this is a humble appeal I'm making to the oppressed Ugandans. You're doing yourself a very big disservice. A very big disservice to pit Dr. Besigye or to pit Honorable Kyagulanyi against each other. To pit those two. Because they're not in a competition. We're not in a competition. Never.
You are in competition.
Let me tell you this.
You are in competition in Kyadondo. You are in competition
Let me tell you this.
in Arua. You have been in competition.
This problem happened to the anti-apartheid forces in South Africa, where they had the four main platforms. They had the ANC, they had the Black Consciousness Movement, which was more aggressive and assertive, more vibrant, compared to ANC, which was more or less like a political party, championing a revolution. Of course, subsequently, they came up with an outfit called the Mukonto Wasizwe.
The Spear of the Nation.
The Spear of the Nation, which was more lethal and what. So, but you also had Union Party, and you had the Sobukwe's pack. They clashed, they fought each other, they conflicted, they created all kinds of animosity, and in the end, it derailed the struggle. Sobukwe died a very miserable life in jail. But you don't know the kind of battle he spearheaded. He spearheaded under Park, leading to the Sharpeville massacres. But even when they went to jail at Robben Island, Sobukwe was kept somewhere as a visitor. There is actually a monument, Sobukwe's house, where he stayed with his 4 kids. Mandela had his own room. the Walter Sisurus were also somewhere excluded, and a couple of others who were in the struggle. They tried to grade them into different grades, to cluster them into different grades. But the conflicts also continued there, even within that confinement. So I see it happening here. Even when we are confined, you find somebody is being tear gassed. You find Dr. Chiza Besigye is sprayed with all types of noxious chemicals, to the extent that actually almost his eyesight is affected. And somebody is saying, for you are now a stumbling block in the way to removing Yoweri Museveni. Oh my God. It's very, very absurd. It stinks. It's very frustrating. Let me tell you this.
I think it should have occurred to you.
I'm glad, I'm happy. I'm happy. I've talked to my brother, Honorable Kyagulanyi. I've listened to him carefully. He doesn't subscribe to this. Actually, if you visited his Facebook account, there is a very long letter he wrote. And it was very, very brilliantly written out. It was a very brilliant one. How he explained, how he tried to explain to the forces. And I want everybody to understand that. You read what Honorable Kyagulanyi wrote on his wall. That message is so powerful. But I want everybody to believe in it. And I implore everyone, because there are those who think that actually a battle can be fought and won by one person. That cannot happen. It has never happened anywhere. So if you don't want Dr. Chiza Besigye in the struggle, you do not want Lukwago in the struggle, you don't want Numbers, you don't want Ingul, you don't want anyone in the struggle, then what are you up to?
So
you are actually sacrificing the few individuals. As we talk right now, Zake is in jail, is rotting in Igulu. Zake is rotting. Stella Nyanzi is rotting in Iruzira. And the keyboard warriors are at it. Papa, if you visited the Stella Nyanzi, they say, look at this hypocrite. If you went to rescue Zake, they say, no, you leave our man. You ask yourself now, what do you want, you people?
So you are promising us, now that you're the vice president of the people's government, in the subsequent years, you will be able to marshal your support, have some kind of cohesion, and perhaps give us this one person who can lead the forces of change? Or you're going to still have pushing from different directions?
Of course.
Because that has not helped.
Let me tell you, those contradictions are inevitable. Human nature is like that. There is diversity within these formations.
And there's conflict.
Of course.
And that's what I began telling you.
They are not homogeneous, otherwise we would be having one party. And I don't subscribe to monolithism. I don't subscribe to that. So the reason we have different political parties of different ideologies, and it's the recognition of that fact, that we have different ideas, different aspirations. So the bottom line is, can we have a common agenda? Can we have a front? We minimize the conflicts, the contradictions. We agree on the challenges we have. We face the common enemy. The enemy of this country right now is none other than Mr. Yoweri Museveni. Once we recognize that fact, ignore everything else.
Having a common front, the numerous by-elections that have been taking place should have been the dress rehearsals for us to see that, yes, you can work together. But when we go, for example, in Arua, I remember seeing the convoy or the crowd of Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi passing by near where retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye was.
Those were by-elections.
Yes, but things could have gone terribly bad on that day.
I know.
But that points to what is likely to come in a bigger way.
Of course, electioneering comes with its own dynamics. That is inevitable. This is what I've explained. But there are things that bring us together. Now, getting this country back on the rail, because right now it's in the hands of the military regime. That should bring us together. When it's about sponsoring candidates, let me tell you, you are not about to. You're going to have a multiplicity of candidates. And you'll have different people competing against each other. That can always happen. But when it comes to two things, I think we need to come together. Like it happened in Zaire, in DRC here, our neighbors. All the political formations, including actually our political institutions like the church, the Catholic Church, civil society, and other clerics, they all came together and said, we don't want Kabila on the ballot paper. We don't want him. So now, Ugandans, the question should not be who should be the candidate for 2021 if we were to have elections. It shouldn't be whether Besigye, whether Lukwago, whether Bobi Wine, whether Namboze, or whether who. No. The question should be, right now, what should bring us together? We do not want Mr. Museveni on the ballot paper. Yes, we can have, by the way, once Mr. Museveni is not on the ballot, like it happened in Zaire, in DRC. Once they took a decision that Kabila should not be on the ballot paper, the Fayulus came up, the Felix Tshisekedi and the others, and people who thought that Felix Tshisekedi, Fayulu would win, were disappointed. Felix Tshisekedi is there, now they are saying, the country is stabilizing. So we can have a transition after that. For me, I don't care. And actually, the notion of having a single candidate will fizzle out the moment we marshal our capacity and get rid of Mr. Museveni and say he will not be on the next
and some of you paper. And some of you have made your name because of being hostile or trying to fight Mr. Museveni. You can actually fizzle out if he's also not in the picture, because there's something called hostile dependency.
Don't be cynical to that extent.
It's possible, because you have always said
it's like you see, it's like I'm sorry to say this, to give this example. You find a little girl being raped, and all of a sudden she's in the media and said, oh, you have gained popularity. If you had not been raped, you wouldn't be popular.
No, you can't use such an example.
Because we have
That's
been...
what I'm saying.
Let me tell you this.
You have been
abused.
preoccupied.
We have been abused.
To
see to it that I'm alive today is by the grace of the God. I'm here, I can speak because of the grace of the Almighty God. And you are saying it's because Mr. Museveni has oppressed us and have gained the popularity?
There's something called a hostile dependency, that you are known for opposing President Museveni through and through. And if that Museveni phenomena is over, chances are that people will start to look at you from a different prism.
Oh my God. I think that is far-fetched.
And
that is below the belt. You mean we cannot advance a positive agenda which can be embraced by Uganda?
Because in most cases, you're not bringing that positive agenda. The only word we've had in most cases, Agende,
let me tell you this.
Let him go,
let me tell you this.
Ballot. By the way, I don't
if you were to give me a program here,
I don't speak for the NRM, and I'm not intending to whatsoever. But I'm telling you things I've observed.
Do you know what? That is the narrative this regime has created. I have suffered that stigma that I'm anti-development. I'm always fighting Museveni. I oppose each and everything. Even the beautiful things right now I'm doing in KCCA. If you are to give me this whole program to talk about the agenda which I'm advancing in the KCCA, it will not even...
It's what we're going to
it will not even be enough.
I know it won't.
It won't even be enough.
Your worship.
But it is clouded. It is eclipsed in this rhetoric, in this narrative, which is faulty.
Your worship, Elias Lukwago, hold on to your point, because you're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll try to shed a light on what is going on in KCCA, and also I'll open the lines so that you too can be a part of this discussion. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. We received a very interesting call from a serious DP member, who is not happy with me, by the way. So You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara. My guest tonight is His Worship, the Lord Mayor of Kampala, Elias Lukwago. We have had the Democratic Party come up with an idea that some members, like sort of draw a map on where FDC should field candidates, where maybe new formation should field candidates and DP and all this. I had a conversation with Honorable Betty Namboze, who seems to have not liked the idea. I wonder what is your take on that very proposition?
Of having...
Fielding candidates, let's say FDC should field candidates in Kasese, DP in northern Uganda, UPC in Lango, so that you don't clash.
Well, it is an idea that has been mooted by members of the DP bloc. Unfortunately, it was not born out of consensus or an informed point of view. And it smacks of something tribal. It smacks of tribalism.
Okay.
Yet we want to get away from that.
You don't support the idea and don't subscribe that school of thought that that's how we should move.
You see, if it is the formula, there are people who are, for example, within a particular region and don't subscribe to that political party. We have FDC members who are in Uganda. What are you going to do with them? And you want to suggest that DP has no membership in the whole of Ankole, Chigezi, West Nile, wherever. Or you want to suggest that FDC should rest, Anyway, it is their idea. But I would suggest, before you roll out a program and try to impose it on others, like which cuts across, you sit down with them. That's why for us, in the people's government, we are engaging everyone. You'll ask Honorable Nobati Mao. We have had engagements with him and others. I've told you we have had engagements with so many. So in this particular case, I think having engagements and agree on the way forward. But the issue shouldn't be who should stand where now.
Okay, let me...
Yes, preparing for 2021 elections is a given. But that shouldn't be the priority, that you go here, you go where. Let us first focus on the issue of saying Mr. Museveni should not be on the ballot paper and work towards that target.
All right, I'm going to open the line so that Ugandans can be a part of this discussion, and I want the remaining minutes for us to shed a light on City Hall, where you sit and find out whether you are delivering on the aspirations of the people of Kampala. We have a call online. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
This is Opo Emmanuel.
Yes, Manuel.
I'm calling from Sunday.
From Sunday.
Yes. So I'm thanking Mr. Mayor for those views that he has given us. So I would like to ask him, will we manage to conquer this man to the end? That's the question, sir.
All right. Will you manage to conquer this man to the end? I think that's what you, as our caller from Sunday was saying. I have another caller online. Hello. Okay. Probably we could respond to that. Maybe after that, I'm going to be also getting into the issues of City Hall.
I would rather we should have shall we manage?
Yes.
Himself inclusive. Because this is not my struggle alone. It's not a struggle for the people's government alone, no. Or the people power, or FDC or DP, whichever. No. Look at Article 3 of the Constitution. It's a clarion call. It's a mandate. Not mandate, rather. But it's a command of the Constitution. That whoever... No, but that all adult Ugandans, able-bodied Ugandans of sound mind, are duty-bound to take whatever action they can do within their means when faced with a situation like this, where your country is being taken to a direction you cannot understand. It's a duty, it's a command of Article 3 of the Constitution. And if you fail to do it, you commit treason. And if you do it, you have committed no offense. So my brother from Sunday, the duty of conquering Museveni is not mine alone. it's yours as well. But don't be pessimistic. Have a positive attitude. Have that belief. Feel confident of yourself. When Mr. Museveni went to the bush, he claims they had only 27 guns. And the Ragataga army, actually it wasn't even an army. These are people who were in ragged clothes. These are people who are walking barefoot. But right now, they can talk with arrogance. You listen to the Kahindota Fires, you listen to all of them, the language they use right now. And go back and look at those pictures they took when they were still in the, even after they had just assumed the power.
Okay, Your Worship, yesterday you launched non-motorized transport in the city. It's long since we saw you get involved in city projects.
No, that's not true.
Well, like how you did it, because...
This is the misconception I've always
Okay,
talked about.
okay, tell us about the non-motorized transport system for Kampala, because for those who are doing business in Kampala, they want to see the congestion gone, they want to see the city that is manageable, Kampala competing
Well,
against
it's unfortunate you're bringing this issue of the development agenda of the Lord Mayor in KCCA at the tail end of the program.
But because you are the vice president of the people's government, so I had to look at the bigger thing.
Oh, I
as well.
understand. That was equally important. Actually, to me, it's a priority. Now, having said that, in the KCCA, we are now, before I come specifically to that issue, we are focusing now on laying a foundation for sustainable transformation. That is my vision as the Lord Mayor. I'm sorry to use that first person singular, but because I have a government at KCCA, I should speak like that. So we are leveraging, laying a foundation for sustainable transformation. Of course, short-term strategies, short-term deliverables are equally important, but we're focusing on long-term and medium-term. Now, in laying the foundation, we are starting with the basics. We have come up with a multimodal transport plan, which is leveraging non-motorized transport in the short run. Of course, I cannot talk about trams, tubes. You can talk about a robust transport system. That can happen when we have dislodged this government. But for the time being, because 60% Ugandans walk, you just move downtown and see, they're on foot. But the city is not user-friendly to pedestrians. It's not, walkways are not well paved. You find them hustling, struggling for space on the road with other road users, motorists and whatnot. So Kampala is highly motorized compared to other cities, highly motorized. Yet, we do not have mass public transport. And it's a pipe dream for us now to have, for example, BRT. Yes, the project is there. It's in a pipeline. It's being sponsored by World Bank. There is also a project to have these flyovers and whatnot. But in the meantime, what do we do? So we want to make Kampala user-friendly.
I remember there was once, there have been so many grand ideas for transforming Kampala, especially the public transport system, including the cable cars and all this kind of stuff that were, I think,
I don't want. Former, yes, there is a project proposal to that effect.
Yes, former executive director, Jennifer Musisi. In most cases, we, as Ugandans, we have our plans, but we never really actualize them.
This is what I'm saying. We have to start small, not losing not losing focus on the bigger picture. Yes, we are laying a foundation for sustainable transformation. We are planning for the future, but working on the immediate deliverables. This is why we are saying, as we embark on that mega project of developing a sustainable transport system in Kampala, which with different modes of transport speaking to each other. Because right now it is disjointed.
Are you convinced that the recently launched flyovers to be constructed from Clock Tower to Ginger Road, Kitugum House, if they actually eventually construct them, that will help in reducing the
There are studies to the contrary that actually flyovers may not alleviate the traffic jam crisis. But that not to say we should not have them. What I'm saying, those are long term. Yes, they are going to dig to lay the foundation stone, but they are long term. But for the time being, what do we do? That's why you have seen now, we have started now paving all the ways. If you have monitored the developments right now, we said no. Why don't we use pavers? Because previously we were using premix. And when we work on premix on walkways, it's tarmac actually. The road is tarmac, the paved walkway is also tarmac. That's not good. So now we are replacing it with pavers. And we have made it a policy with World Bank that all the roads must have walkways. In these islands, there must be trees. And we are gazetting particular routes which are no-go areas for motorists, those corridors. The pilot project now starts with Namirembe Road.
So Namirembe Road is going to be
challenges.
Non-motorized.
Yes, we are suggesting that there is a proposal to that effect. And the thing we are working on right now is about the traffic. Today we had a workshop. Yesterday we had our partners. We were at Stay Hall. Today there was one where the whole project was rolled out to get to understand the flow of traffic.
Okay, let me, there's some people you're watching.
How it's going to affect business and what not. So we need to sort out a few things there.
Let me get some of these people who have been trying to get to you. I have a call online. Hello? Hello? Hello, you're on air. What's your name and where are you calling from? We seem to have a problem getting to a caller there, understanding what he's saying. I think the line is not very clear. Apologies for that. Okay.
So I was saying non-motorized transport will one or the other alleviate that problem. For the time being, we want to have certain corridors gazetted, okay, so that Kampala is made user-friendly to pedestrians. We also have other things, like before I came here, actually I was at a workshop with the technical people, director physical planning, manager Bernadette and others, together with the councillors at Entebbe. Actually, they are still there.
So you are telling us now...
I'm talking about now a different one.
Yes.
We are coming up with an ordinance on urban green infrastructure. You see, we carried out a tree audit.
We've almost finished all our green zones.
Exactly. Our public spaces, public parks are poorly managed. We do not have a legal framework to regulate that. We came into office, we found most of them had been leased out. The Sheraton Gardens, they are being hired out by Sheraton. Do you know what is called the Sheraton Gardens? It's a Jubilee Park, a park which is supposed to be managed by KCC. Our Independence Monument is squeezed in some small place like this. You can't even go there for a photo opportunity, even for tourists. So all that space which now constitutes the Sheraton Gardens, should be Jubilee Park. Do you know what? For 10 years, the contract is for 10 years. And in those 10 years, they are paying only 350 million. In all those 10 years. So we have things like a children's park, we have things like a centenary and others. So we are saying, let us have a well laid out legal framework that would regulate that. And also tree planting in Kampala with the sanctions and incentives. You know, you shudder to if you moved around downtown, that corridor down yes. there, around Mini Price, you look at that place, Benichwanuka, Rumu, William, and all those, that place, you do not see even a single tree.
It's concrete throughout.
It is concrete throughout. When you look at the statistics about now pollution in Kampala, it is too much. National average is 104. But the world average is 10, you can imagine. And in most places like a coral where you see some green cover, it's as high as 54. So we need to address that crisis. We have what we call the Kampala Climate Change Action Plan, which we launched with the support of the European Union, which we are now implementing. The other programs like we have come up, we have actually started now, we have prepared and adopted, and we're soon launching the Kampala Drainage Master Plan to deal with the floods. The smart street lighting in Kampala with the support of the French government and AFD. That one is also ongoing. We, just last week, I was in South Africa, in Cape Town, with the development partners Bill and Melinda Gates, Africa Water, Speak Up Africa, hey, many others. And we are working on an ordinance on fecal sludge, management of fecal sludge. You've seen the crisis of cholera in Kampala and whatnot. It's poor. You know, can you imagine in Kampala, it's only 80% of Ugandans, in other homesteads, 80% of homesteads in Kampala who are connected to the national sewer line. That's a tragedy. So we want to emphasize and leverage non-sewer sanitation. And we want to guide Ugandans on how to do this and that. And that's how they came up with a project of constructing at least modern places of convenience and whatnot. They have given us that support. There are other programs I can explain. So I've called for a meeting on 21st. We are going to look at all these ordinances. The other day we passed an ordinance to regulate markets. Can you imagine all private markets here? Land is being alienated, even those which were leased out to private developers, like Chiseka, Nakasero Market, or Wino. It's crisis all over. They are not developed. You see, there is crisis.
In the past, Your Worship, you used to have a lot of, maybe sometimes of difficulties working with the technical wing. Are you now the political wing and technical wing?
Can I first complete this issue, because it's another critical area where people always talk about trade orders, street vendors, and whatnot. So we want to have these markets well organized, regulated, and we are demanding the government should inject any money. We appeared before Parliament and we told them, let's develop at least 2 markets. We have bought land in Igaba, land in Chitintale, and we have even our own public land, but we don't have money to construct the markets. And the government, they are telling us there is no money. And it's very little money constructing a market in a Kasubi. You see people trading by the roadside, plying their trade on the street and whatnot. So you cannot decry street vending when you have not provided alternatives. You are chasing out people from Parker Yard. When you give them alternatives. You should give them alternatives. So we are embarking on all this. So these are the medium, the short term. But the medium term, if you are to give me time to explain all this, because that's what you said.
No. we really want you to come back at another opportunity, and specifically talk about Kampala, because Kampala Kampala is for Uganda is the door of the country. Everybody comes to Kampala before they go everywhere else. So when you manage it well, of course, it plays well for Uganda.
So you were asking the other question about the relationship.
The political wing and the technical wing, whether now you are working with a lot of agility than before.
You see, I told you I believe in institutional development. And the crisis, the tragedy of this country, and the disservice Mr. Museveni has made to this country, is to bring down institutions, to create personal rule. So at least now, what is happening in cases here? You find different organs trying to take shape. I'm not so sure that there will not be interventions along the way which may derail the line we are taking. Because if you don't sit in the authority meetings to develop all these programs, because that is the nerve center where all the issues are thrashed out. So previously, members of the technical wing would not attend the meetings, including the executive. She spent so many years without attending meetings. But so there is no way you can develop programs. You can have checks and balances, political audit and professional audit and the harmonization of everything, unless you have those meetings. And
you have to have a conversation.
I think that's simple logic. So, but now we have those meetings regularly. I call them. For January we had a meeting. February we have had one. I've scheduled another one for March. They have all attended religiously, contributed, brought the reports. We demanded for, we've got the Public Accounts Committee presented a report on issues to do with the staff. We are going to look into it. Issues to do with the performance of this. They brought the report, the performance reports. We are going to look into those reports.
2 more before we conclude the show, if you allow me. Kawempe North MP Latif Sebagala has expressed interest in the seat of the Lord Mayor. I wonder, what are your thoughts about that?
I wish you would give me time to talk about other issues. You don't
want to?
Because surely.
You don't want to talk about that.
Can you imagine now, from national issues,
yes,
the crisis afflicting this country, to the development agenda in KCCA. Now you drag me into the gutters. No.
How is
Can
that?
you
How is
space-
that? How
can
is
you
that?
spare
How
me?
is that the gutter?
Because it's a non-issue. Honestly, I'm sorry to say this. That is a non-issue.
Are you running again 2021?
Well, right now, we're not so sure whether 2021 we will have elections. For your information. Secondly, I went to court. I rallied. I teamed up with other brilliant lawyers, a team of lawyers. We worked together with other petitioners, the MPs, Mr. Mabirizi and others. We challenged the age limit bill, law. That matter is still pending in the Supreme Court. But at least the aspects we won in the Mbale petition, one of which was the extension of the term of the current parliament and the local council governments, where actually I was one of the beneficiaries. You get the point?
Well, you'd have been one of the beneficiaries.
I was a beneficiary. If they had extended, because yes, the amendment was very clear.
Yes. That
the term of the parliament and the local councils would be 7. The next step they were going to a referendum to extend that of the president to also 7 years. And they made it expressly clear that the term of the current government, parliament, and the local councils, including Kampala,
would also be extended.
It will end in 2023. So if I were to be selfish, if I were fearing people, I would also say, let's wait until 2030.
Okay.
So those who want to vie for this position should understand that I'm a Democrat. I believe in the will of the people, the sovereignty of the people. So the people can always decide who shall be the next mayor, who shall be what. I'm not bothered about that.
We have to end there, Your Worship. Lord Mayor of Kampala, Elias Lukwago, thank you very much for being here on the show tonight.
Thank you too.
And that's been us to the end of tonight's edition of On the Spot. Good night and God bless Uganda.